How you deal with tests defines your strength as a man. So, what do I mean by this? I feel like the better somebody is at having mental focus under high stress environments and under a lot of pressure directly correlates to the mental strength that they're able to have or that they have in general. Um, I can think of a couple times in my life when I've completely freaked out, just way more than I needed to in a certain situation. When a small issue happened, something provoked me enough for me to be crashing out much more than I needed to. And I'm happy to say that over the years I've been able to learn to control those emotions more and remain calm under pressure. I used to have very bad anger issues as a kid. I was such an angry kid for some reason. And it's something that you actively have to grow out of. But I feel like that's a part of maturing in general, is understanding that situations aren't that deep all the time. You know what I mean? And it's not worth it. Beyond it just not being that deep, you can see on the surface level of something that it's probably not going to matter in 5 minutes. A small argument that you get in with somebody, your phone dying, your car has, an issue that might be a little bigger issue, but things that don't matter as much in like 5 minutes in the future don't need to matter to you right now. And I know it sounds basic, but I feel like so many people fall victim to this constant cycle of stress, unnecessary stress, because they're not in control of their mind. They don't have mental focus under high pressure situations. So something that's not going to matter in 5 minutes, maturing is being able to breathe through certain situations and not freak out right away. There's things that would have made me like crash out that were happening in my environment that I need to actively grow out of so that I can make better decisions in general and protect myself as well. Not only are you making a better decision that's going to help the situation progress forward, and I know I'm speaking very vaguely, but if you get me, you get me. In certain situations, let's say you're getting in an argument. Somebody comes up to you and for some reason they're pissed off, there's beef, right? The better you are at remaining focused and staying calm, the better the situation's going to go, more likely. 9 times out of 10, it's going to end better for you, for them, for everybody that's in the vicinity, in the direct environment that's being affected by the altercation. It's going to go better. I remember when I moved down here, I wanted to check out a bar, like a local bar, and I'm not somebody who usually goes to places like this. I'm very introverted. I like to stay inside mostly. But my girl and some friends wanted to go check out this local place. It was very random. But I was like, all right, bet, I'm down. Let's go. Let's go check it out. And we get there and the night's going decent, We had a couple drinks, we're dancing, smiling, laughing, everything's fine. This guy walks past with like one of his homies randomly and looks at me and just like asks me if that's my girlfriend. And I'm like telling him, like I just give him a nod or whatever. I don't know. I think he's like just saying big ups or something. And then he leaves and goes and does his own thing. I guess gets some more drinks, it seemed like, because by the time he returned, for some reason there was an altercation. I don't know what sparked that. Well, I do, but in the moment I was thinking to myself, what could this be? What could this mean? So what did I do in the situation? When he's freaking out at me, I tried my best to remain calm. But it gets to a point, right? I think the best thing that you can do at first is recognize what's actually happening in the situation. So in this instance, another man wanted to ego check me and felt insecure about himself, so he had to come up and take that energy out elsewhere because the issues that were in his own life were too great for him to bear. And when he sees somebody else succeeding in any way, it's too much for him, and he needs to confront that for some reason. And God bless him. I have no enemies. I hold no grudges. But it really upset me, though, that he felt the need to deal with the situation in that way. It really upset me to the point where I got more angry than I should have. They ended up fighting. I think fighting in general is a very end resort, but words and actions can leave a stain on the situation and on you personally, because I think about that often and I'm like, how could I have dealt with it better, than yelling and using my voice in some way to play into this guy's like ego trap, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to fall victim to these things. You want them to be able to brush off your shoulders, because I still played into it, but I didn't give him what he wanted, which was physical violence. It's like, why is this the competition? Do you think that I'm not stable enough as a man to like remain with my girl and you're gonna get, you know what I mean? So I'm getting off topic, but that was what he wanted. I didn't give him that, and that frustrated him so much more so than if I were to. But I think even still, it made me realize like I could have remained calmer in that situation, and it would have benefited me more, because then I wouldn't be thinking about it as much as I have. You know what I'm saying? And I think this happens a lot with smaller things that are just simple inconveniences to people day to day. Like I mentioned before, like it could be something so small, like someone says a comment that sounded backhanded or rubs you the wrong way. I feel like it's often an interaction with somebody else that can set you off and have you thinking about it and dwelling on it for the whole day. But that's not the strong-minded thing to do. The strong-minded thing to do is to be able to allow something like that to roll off your back. Because it proves that not only are you the bigger person, but you protect your energy more. The more you protect your energy, the more of it you're going to have to be able to do things for yourself. And the more of it you're going to have to focus on things that actually matter. Mark Manson, in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, he explains this a lot. I haven't read it for a while, but when I did, I recall him talking about how you can delegate your energy to things that actually matter. How if you delegate your energy to things that actually matter, you're not going to end up somebody who cares about every little thing that happens in life. And he talks about the feedback loop from hell. So if you're having anger issues about small things that are happening in your life, like you not being somebody who's able to succeed and achieve highly, those problems are just going to compound because you're going to start being angry about the fact that you get angry over these things, okay? This is what creates a miserable person, okay? Somebody who's stuck in a loop, in a system, and I'm pretty sure the example he used was like a fast food worker, or like, whatever, grocery store worker, something like that. Nothing against somebody who does that job, but somebody who does that and is miserable in the situation that they're in, and they understand, whether consciously or subconsciously, that they never took action necessary in order to change their situation, now cares about smaller things than they should, okay? Now a customer can say one thing that's going to ruin their whole day because they're in a miserable situation and they don't want to be there. A lot of people hate their jobs. Nobody wants to go do the same 9 to 5 every day and serve the man, but it's like, you have the capabilities to be able to change your circumstances. And the more you're able to focus in situations of stress, the more energy you're going to preserve to be able to do that. And that's the moral of this whole video. The stronger minded individual comes out on top because he says less, so his reputation is not able to be tarnished. He is able to contain himself and hold back in situations where progressing, say that I would have that night, say that I would have gotten in an altercation with that person, me being the only one who's fighting for my side and him with his friends. That's not a good situation to be in. And some people's ego clouds their judgment so heavily that they put themselves in situations where there's no winning. It's like, you play stupid games, win stupid prizes. There's nothing beneficial that's going to come from this man's insecurity and me progressing, like me feeding into that. So that's what you have to recognize. It's all patterns and tests. So the other thing is, there's no winning there, but the other thing is, I've started to look at these situations as tests. And whether or not you are religious and want to say that it's like a test from God, that's how I perceive these things in life. These little inconveniences or even larger situations that I'm genuinely having to go through, I perceive them as like a trial to see if I'm worthy of the blessings that God wants to give to me and put into my life. But I first need to be tested to be sure, you know? It's like, obviously God knows your heart posture and the type of character you have, but I think that he refines those who he wants to guide and bless by saying, okay, your car is going to break down today on the way to work, and you're also going to get a flat tire and have nobody to help you. How are you going to deal with this situation? And a lot of people want to blame their luck, want to blame, oh, is it just my luck? Of course this would happen to me. Woe is me. It's like, bro, that's never the right attitude to have, because it doesn't benefit the situation and getting out of it. And it just further solidifies in your mind that you're an unlucky person who encounters bad situations. It's like you develop your mindset, and then your mindset develops your reality. Like, this manifestation stuff is real, just not the way that you've heard it. You're not thinking about something and then it's coming to you from the universe. It's like, that's crazy talk. But I realized, like, I read this book called The Master Key System by Charles F. Hannell. Incredible book. Changed my life completely. I have it tatted on my wrist. And he talks about how when you are perceiving something in your life to be either good or bad, that develops your mindset, and then your mindset towards something directly correlates to your actions in life, and your actions in life bring certain outcome. That's how it works. So back to the scenario, if God's giving me this challenge in life to say, okay, you think you have all the wisdom, you think that you've been doing so good, what are you going to do in this scenario? Let me do this. And how you respond is going to dictate whether or not you're able to handle the next thing that I have prepared for you. And you respond in a negative way, how are you worthy of those blessings? That's the question. How are you worthy of those? And now, are you developing a positive mindset to be able to continue your day? Or, you know what I'm saying? So you can't let these things get to you. And it's much easier said than done. But the less that you worry about things that you can't control, the more peaceful your mind is going to be. Dude, I be going to work and just minding my own business because I can't do any gossip. I can't do any of this extra stuff. It's draining, genuinely. I recharge the most when I'm just at home, doing my own thing, chilling. Like, even these social settings, I feel like there's a lot that's going on that you have to kind of navigate. That's a whole different topic. But the moral is, the stronger man is able to focus more and not fold under pressure, because he understands that blessings are on the other side of tribulation. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Peace.